I just heard there's an article that Democrats are attempting to spend like some number of millions of dollars solving this young men's issue. And honestly, just wire all that money to my account, and then I'm going to give you the answer that you're going to refuse to address anyway over the next like 3 minutes here. I'm going to split these off, just like I like to split off the systems of oppression that benefit, whether it's patriarchy, capitalism, white supremacy, this American system, or really the Euro-colonial system. But I'd like to break, instead of looking at the system as like a macro level, let's look at the micro individualized person who needs access to a handful of supporting pillars to allow them to be a full human being. And then from that point, hopefully, take some kind of control or responsibility over their emotions and their self-concept, enough to not have to be dealing with these mental health issues, these loneliness epidemics at mass, but allowing ourselves to find the healing and the accommodation that we need in the real world around us, rather than constantly being forced or reinforced negatively by these online spaces we spend way too much time on in relation to the lack of resource, opportunity, and time we spend in the real world. But let's make this short here, because I know my videos are 10 minutes. I'm going to try to shorten these down to make sure that they get better reach. The boys need purpose. The boys need, and again, it doesn't have to be given from somebody else. It could come from your own self. That's what I like to call a calling. Purpose, in my eyes, is developed from experiences out in the world, and you feel, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do in order to get what I want to get. A very transactional sense, but a calling, which is still in the same light, but more inverse. The calling is what you feel inspired to do, to create, to produce, and then you bend your outer reality in making sure that you can actualize or express that calling or what you've been called to do into this life. So in short, purpose is you go into the world, and through your experience or what you're informed upon, you start making decisions as to get things or to find out how to almost work with the world. Calling is you saying, I am. And this doesn't come from the world. It comes from myself, and I'm bringing it to the world. Boys need that. Stop making all these fucking hoops and hurdles of college degree this and showing up to this event and wearing this type of like high socks and wigs to go to the royal court. Allow boys to have access to education, access to skill development, access to opportunity, even if they don't have a degree, to make some kind of living wage, for them to take money, not to be rich, of course, but to take money and know what it's like to be responsible enough to spend it on what they need to, their bills, themselves, and the people that they care about. Again, I'm going to say a lot of give, but underneath patriarchy, men are given so many privileges that many of us can't really fully actualize, but are given to us for the sake of us perpetuating patriarchy at the mercy of destroying the other people's lives or taking away opportunity and accommodation from other non-males under patriarchy. Instead of thinking about it like that, like, oh, give boys who already have really a handful under patriarchy, think about like create opportunity for anybody and then allow people to see that opportunity, actualize themselves through it, and feel like they actually believed in something and then did it themselves. Knowing that you created the opportunity, whether it's the government or a rich person, you created the opportunity for it to happen, but you allowed the person to go through the journey and to experience all they needed to experience through that opportunity on their own, making the experience way more valuable to them individually. Even if it's just an open opportunity that anybody can take, you have to allow the person, especially in this AI world, we're trying to automate everything, allow the person to feel like they have power in choice and controlling at least their circumstances. And you allow them to develop some kind of positive reinforcement in themselves and their ability to do and to be, rather than them, especially as guys, us needing to put this expectation of validation onto the women that we're in relationship with or the partners that we're in relationship with. Because more times than not, that's going to get a lot more toxic than us being able to say, you know what, hey, not every day is going to be a good day, but I'm going to continue to do this work because my goals are way more ahead of me than all the failure or rejection I'm experiencing today. a good job, a good career, a good series or set of friends and peers in your network drastically helps with that. But we're going to use AI to replace all the human workers. We're not going to have housing for people, or we're just going to make housing way too affordable. So yeah, you're going to have a lot of dudes on the street with a lot of pent up anger. Probably going to turn that on to other people that are not men. And it's not going to look good. This is going to be worse than Reagan in the 80s and worse than Detroit in the 60s. Next couple things let's cover. Instead of focusing on, like Scott Galloway says, the boys aren't getting laid enough. That's the wrong perspective to go with. The right perspective in my eyes is boys don't have community. Something that I have cherished my whole entire life, even after leaving this group of boys, is the boys. And mind you, because we live in such an individualized society, you might think that guys are gay because they're holding the women they're in relationship with to the expectations of guys, or they're just holding women to expectations of being guys. That's stopping us from realizing how important it is for us as dudes to have our friends of dudes, while also being able to be respectful and appreciative of the relationships that we have the potential to have with women. But fundamentally, the focus is going to be on making sure that those single sex groups, or like homogenous sex groups, are making sure that they're keeping a empathetic awareness of other people that aren't inside that group. Very difficult to do that under patriarchy, because patriarchy takes from the humanity of literally everybody to make a transaction that only exists between men, meaning that a lot of men's self-worth comes from the conquering or domination of other non-men, or just other men, rather than from the self-belief of what exists in like the inner infinity. What I'm saying can be reinforced from having a supportive community, from having more people support and reinforce you than just your family members. It takes a village to raise a child. And even better, a lot of you guys have internalized homophobia, and you say that, like, again, I'm trying to recover from this too, saying like, oh, well, if you guys just hate women so much, you might be gay. It's not that, for the most part. For the most part, most boys don't know what it's like to even experience not just being around the boys, but working on your goals, developing yourself. Even, I know it sounds kind of childish, but chasing girls, having fun, playing video games. Like, a lot of guys don't understand that. And the earlier that children are raised on social media, the more individualized and the absolutely worse that's going to be. Especially with AI creators and AI friends, because now they're going to start trying to treat the only friends they could have made in the real world the way that they treat their AI, which is probably toxic and negative as fuck. I don't have a lot of time. Let me get into the last two things right here. Now, I split this last part up into two sections. One of them is meaning, and the second one is belief. The reason why I decided to do that is because I believe the soul is a very complex, almost like an oxymoronic energy, in the sense that it is internal and external at the same time. But I'll explain that in another video. Just for this point right here, understand that the soul is like two opposing forces working in union to create this very niche, unique expression, and that is you. Now, the importance of having meaning is almost like a past to present sense, where I say you have to have an understanding of your lineage, of your history, of your ancestors, of your genealogy, of what has been done with the connection to you up to this point, allowing you a stable foundation to see what has been and what has the potential to be and what hasn't been done yet. Okay? Now, belief is the one thing that I think is going to help a lot of us with the incoming nihilism that'll come from just Peter Thiel and company destroying the fuck out of America. Belief is something that keeps you going forward in the face of imminent disaster or even death. In the face of imminent failure, belief is what continues to get your mind outside of the right now, forward thinking, allowing you to keep on moving in the right now, even if you can't immediately see where that future is headed or where the salvation is. Church is going to be used to try to round up all the people who are afraid, anxious, confused, angry, just don't know how to displace that negative energy or that confusing energy. So give me $1 million and help me figure out a way to put this into a system that we can apply, whether it's through schools, communities, churches even, or continue to spend that $1 million having conversations that mean nothing and then losing every single election until the Democratic Party doesn't fucking exist anymore, because we live in